See, they lucky now. Man, they're so, because, you have people like Dash and Phil, who actually develop players. We didn't have that. Like, if you ask the 90s and early 2000s, there was no, it was an ex-NBA player, but he was just in there just to kick it with the dudes. He was just to kick it and be a snitch. That.
Welcome to No Chill with Gilbert Arenas. I'm Mike Viticello, that's Gilbert Arenas. That's Travis Nichols. We're off and running on this edition because this is fam right here. Mm-hmm. This is the group. Trav, welcome on in. I thought we actually had done this before. It feels like we've done it before.
Because we've done a lot of film work.
Yeah. So for people that don't know, Trav, you're connected to Gil and our group here through your training you've done here in LA, but you're originally from New York. Yep. New York kid ended up in Kelly, right into his nest.
Right in his backyard, huh?
Mm-hmm. And so what you've done is, and we'll get into this in a minute, is you've established the Southern California Academy. Yes. So you're all the way West Coast now.
Right now, yes. Mm-hmm. But I would never forget that I'm originally from New York.
East Coast at heart.
Yeah, I'm not.
That's how it is. East Coasters, man, we don't give it up.
I know, I see.
Yeah, we're hardwired.
I understand.
How did you become, first of all, how did you get introduced to basketball?
Well, I started with my best friend. He played football, and I was playing, and Dad was like, man, you should play basketball. You'll actually be better. Like, football, you get hurt quick. Because he see his son get hurt all the time. And then I started playing. I shot the ball, started playing around with a bunch of kids. I was taller than most kids. And I liked it. It was easy. So that's how I started.
This was in Brooklyn?
Yeah, this was in Brooklyn.
Okay, so take us there. Yeah, Brooklyn. Yeah, okay. Brooklyn, this is the, year, era, 90s?
Yeah.
90s basketball in Brooklyn.
90s, early 2000s.
90s.
Oh.
90s.
Wait, you'd have been ready, you'd have been in the N1 era.
Yeah, of course. Who wasn't watching N1?
No, I mean, that was your era.
Yeah,
okay, that was your...
Skip to my little...
Yeah, that was the best because they used to have a little... that's when basketball was you wanted to be... you have style now, and it's like everyone wants to be the NBA style. It's like this, we want to be looking all, like we got money. Then... you wanted to really be a hooper. You always bought the N1 shirts with all the little slogans in the back. Yeah. Who got game? Ooh, that was the...
Like, I'm coming for your girl.
With the hoop.
Yeah. But was it more flash than substance?
Around that time, people wanted to be like the next AI, or they would go to the N1 guys like, I want to be hot sauce or something like that.
You know what was weird is... I think Skip to My Lou gave a false impression of street ball. And what I mean by that is he was an NBA player who had a street game, not a street ball player trying to make it to the NBA.
Right.
See, and I think, because I didn't realize it. So, you hear the stories of all the things he was doing, the fancy stuff, but they didn't realize that was actually basketball being played. It wasn't he had a street style to his game, but he played under rules. It's not like when Hot Sauce came out and, he's doing all these carries and traveling and doing all these moves. No, all his moves was legit. So when he came to the NBA, it's the same moves. It's the same thing. His same fancy spin, same, he's gonna. So but when you heard Skip to My Lou and he's doing all this, you just thought straight street ball. And when I first seen him, I was like, yo, he's a nice ass guard. I don't, he's gonna throw it behind and wrap it around and throw it between my legs and a pass, but that's not what I was envision, you envisioning, bounce it, roll around, carry it, you spit on the floor.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that a little bit was because it was like the idea was like, will this work? Will he be able to play in the NBA? Because they thought he was
They thought he was a street baller. Yeah.
Right.
And when he was a basketball player who just had a street style.
Right. Whereas maybe Steve Francis was more of a street baller.
Nah, he was a basketball player with a street style.
It's the same.
Yeah, that's why they made it to the NBA. Then you have some players who were street ballers, like their moves was because of carries and travels and, doing stuff like that, double dribbling. Then it's like, well, do you know how to play regular basketball when there's rules and a referee? And they couldn't transfer because their whole style was built on this vision of I'm trying to make the N1 team. And it's...
So for a kid from Brooklyn, you saw a lot of that firsthand. But for you went really the organized route to St. Francis.
Yeah, I went straight to the organized route. I wasn't thinking about playing no street ball, And St. Francis that's where I grew up. Like, that's where I became who I am today because of what my coach put me through, You know how some kids be blaming the coach, I ain't played because he don't like me. It's crazy. I used to be that guy. And then while I was at St. Francis, I realized I was literally just making this battle between my coach and I when it was really me. I was the one nonchalant in practice. I ain't go hard all the time. Like I played a role in that of why he didn't play me how I was supposed to be played. And that's why transferring to this training route, being a coach basically, I just want to help these kids understand that part. Because a lot of these kids these days, you're making up these crazy battles in their head between them and the coach when they really play a role in that as well.
And guess what? Kids in authority, they always bump heads. That's like always gonna happen.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. It's one of those things is, you have different type of coaches. We really got to understand that. You have nonchalant coaches, positive coaches, negative coaches, coaches that, they want to poke you to get the best out of you. So
that's what my coach did.
So you have, all these different styles of coaches that at the end of the day, you're gonna face every single one of them at some point, in your basketball career. You just have to learn how to play with that coach, what he's, trying to get you to do. Yep. If this coach worries more about defense, then that means, if you're not putting in that effort, he's gonna ride you. Yep. You have that. I remember our coach said, hey, when I stop yelling at you, that's when I don't care about you no more. You have that coach. So it's like you gotta understand who's who and not get, caught up in your emotions about it. And lose yourself because you think, man, the coach got it out for me. I'm like, let's be honest. If the coach really didn't care about you, bruh, you wouldn't even exist. He wouldn't even mention your name. You'd be just sitting on the bench, number 15, and he gonna look down at 14. He ain't even gonna think you there. And, hey, come on in. And you don't even exist anymore. So the fact that he's still putting energy into you means he does still see something. He's just waiting for you to turn it on.
And really a coach, they gotta have your best interests at heart. You're on their team. They want their team to be successful. They want you to thrive on the team. Now, I know what you're thinking. There are some guys that are my way or the highway. You probably don't wanna play for that coach. And if you don't fit in, it won't work out.
It depends. It depends on what type of player you are.
That's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
But even as a kid, is that the hardest thing, is to get them to understand authority?
Yes, especially now, yeah. That's why these kids need to have good mentors like myself and people like Dash and Gilbert, talking to them. You need mentors like that because now we can help these kids understand how to play with any type of coach that Gilbert just said. So that's what's really missing, is the mentor. Some of us trainers need to stop thinking about us just being trainers and teach them how to do between the legs and all this. We got to work on this part of the game as well and be an actual mentor, not just a trainer to some of these kids out here.
You know, the funny thing is, if you took street basketball and tried to organize that, you can't make organized basketball street. You can't like put that back in the box.
Well, you know, I don't even know if there's like really street basketball anymore. There's no, I don't think there's really any
That era's
and one
over.
style is that trick and all. I don't think that's, you know, I don't think it's there anymore. I mean, you still have, you know, highlight plays, but it's more basketball rules now. You don't really have the you know, the and one mixtape and the ball up. No more and one.
What was
Ball
the
up was
difference?
basketball.
But I mean, really, those guys were playing. The and one guys were just playing for.
They were playing for highlights. You know, but you still had, you know, people like Bone Collector. You know, you had Bone Collector. You had Professor. You know, you had Baby Shaq, who were basketball players. You know, they just took that basketball style and went to the and one because they had an advantage. But then you had somebody like, you know, like a Hot Sauce, who was just a trickster. He didn't have the feel of an actual organized game. You know, so you had guys who, you know, were basketball players, learned a little tricks to survive. But for the most part, I think, you know, it kind of fell off towards the end, and then everyone just adapted just being basketball players with just better moves.
So the steps that you took following college to get to where you are as a trainer, what fell into place after, let's say, college?
Like how I was after college. I just started understanding the game better, you know, and watching more film. I think a lot of players lack in watching the game instead of just watching highlights. Mm-hmm. And that's when I actually grew. And then I have my cousin who was, people know him by Dash. He taught me a lot. Like, because now he worked with the Sparks, so he just grew so much, man. The wisdom that he's showing me now, that he's telling me about the game, like, is crazy. And then you bump into guys like Gilbert and Karan, that's just teaching you how to take, how do you say it? Work on more of 10% of the game than just the 90%, you know? Like, I mean, not the 10%, I mean the 90% than just the 10%, because the 10% is the skills. And guys like them help me not to like just focus on that, because that's how I did in the beginning. I was just focused on the 10% and not worrying about the 90% of the game.
Yeah, when he means 10 and 90, 90% is your basketball game. No, not the mind, your basketball game. Yeah. Just the actual game. So if you average in 36, the 28 points that you score versus the ones that's gonna be on SportsCenter. So, you know, when we first met, you know, when we're training, you know, he was like, yo, why are we doing that? And I'm like, well, this is how I warm up. This is what, he was like, well, we need to come down and do this. And I was like, well, who the hell is guarding me from this line to this line? What do I need to do? 26 in and out, crossovers, this is empty space. Like if I'm on a fast break, it's just a straight dribble. If the guy's picking me up at 3, I'm just gonna walk past this. So me doing all these moves in empty space is irrelevant, you know, in the game of basketball. So I said, you know, you take these 10% plays and you train. You gotta these are instinct moves that players do instinctively. Then you're trying to take that instinctual move and make it a drill to try to make it natural. And then wonder why the turnover is not working, because you're not working on his actual game. You're working on this one creative move that he's waiting for. You're gonna get that once or twice this month. So if that's your whole game is built on these jelly finishes, that's a 10% move. Yeah, you can work on it to have it in your body when you're reacting, but to have that your main focus, when you get in the game, you don't have a regular game. You're just waiting for the highlight reel play. You know, so it's like, well, you know, you have, 12 points. 8 of them was, ooh, and be like, yeah, I killed him today. Like, bro, you had 12 points, bro. That's first 5 minutes.
Look at the guy that had 36.
Yeah, it's like, you just.
So it's too much icing. It's all ice cream, like too much sweetness, right? It's not enough substance.
But how people train now?
That
Or
10%.
like when
what
you
you
first
ta-
started.
Oh, when I first started.
I'm thinking of a
yeah,
guy
it was-
specific like DeMar DeRozan. He could do a 360 layup. That's reactionary.
But that's what I'm saying.
Right,
That's
that's natural.
That's his
awesome.
natural instinct.
But what he's filled in with, his post game, his mid range game, everything that other 90%. That's why DeMar's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, it's not filling. That's his game. The 360 is just something that he just naturally do when he sees a certain So
That's
to
what
have
Bill was saying.
to
They
go
try to
through
change that.
Yeah.
Turn it into a
So
drill.
turn that into a drill. Like we're gonna all be doing 360 turn. They don't. Like, because how he sees it in real time, you can't mimic it. you can't mimic that. You can't mimic when John Wall, is coming down full speed and he gets ready to jump. It's, I got to retwist. Like, nah, you can't mimic the defense. You can try, but to waste hours mimicking that is pointless because you have 90% of the game to play. So that's what we worked on. And I know, so we never bumped heads on anything.
No, we didn't.
We never bumped heads because, you gotta remember, he's training me. and I'll ask him, why are we doing this? Because I want to see what he says. And then he asked me, well, why are we not doing that drill or this drill? And I'm like, well, boom, 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 boom. And then, so he's like, okay. So he, the best part about Travis, he was willing to learn. Instead of one of those dudes like, nah, I already know it all. I got this. I'm gonna do. Nah, don't. It was never that. Like when he's doing it, because even when he's working out people, I'm never gonna say, hey, Trav, hey, no, just wait till he's done. Let him finish and be like, yo, I did some counting. They only took about boom, 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 this many shots. You might want to just add a little bit more. And he'd be like, all right, I got you. It's one of those where it's not, he just knows next time we're just gonna add a little bit more. See, they lucky now. Man, they're so... Because, you have people like Dash and Phil, who actually develop players. We didn't have that. Like, if you ask the 90s and early 2000s, there was no... Yeah, it was an ex-NBA player, but he was just in there just to kick it with the dudes. He was just to kick it and be a snitch. that's I guarantee you, if you ask anybody in the age of 30, 38 to 34, 3, and say, yo, how's your developmental coach? Like when you first started. Like that man didn't develop that out. Like he did just try to kick it with us and just told when we was like doing stuff wrong. That's all they were. You didn't have that. It was that player he was like, he's a player, so the players understand him, but he's really an actual coach. So the player development coach, for the most part, you didn't really like mess with him like that because you didn't know what side they were on. Are you with us as a player or are you with them?
But that role
changed.
Yeah, I'm trying to think when that was because I'm thinking of Phil Handy.
Yeah,
because he trained Kobe.
Yeah, Phil Handy's only been in the league, 7, 8 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say 5.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like
so
but he was with the Lakers
like you would think somebody like Tyronn Lue would be a great player development coach. Nah, he wants to be a coach. So those guys are not gonna be spending their time teaching kids how to develop their skills. So you only had a few teams. Like I remember when I used to go to like Miami, there used to be a couple kids, trainers, that used to work those guys out before the game. Like, okay, they got some good stuff over there. Other than that, we just get our strength and conditioning coach just rebound for us. So,
There's definitely more to it than that, obviously, where you are.
Now you have training coaches, you have, them coming into the NBA, teaching, individual skill work to the whole team. I mean, the game is really being involved.
And then for what you're doing now, this was TNT originally.
TNT, yeah.
And you were working with players. Would you say you had a signature style or you adapted to the type of player they were?
I say both. My signature style was to tap up here first before we would do anything else, because if you don't have this, you might as well just quit. And then After that, I figured, I watched the player, see how they would fit in whatever system they're in. Like, say, if someone like I had before, like JC, that's Karan's son. He's a wing guy. He likes to catch the ball in the wing, drive, slash, catch and shoot. Like, I make sure I train him for that system for right now. And then in the off season, that's when we can work on other things. But during the season and stuff like that, work on what's to help him be successful in that system.
So it's a matter of
both.
Immediate goals and then the bigger picture, depending on time of year.
Yeah.
And that's, that is a very excellent style and approach, because imagine if he spent the whole summer with you and you was teaching him how to come off pick and roll and do all these moves, and then when he gets to his season, he's a corner slasher cut guy. Everything you done updated him with, he can't use, and everything he needs, he actually didn't practice on. And I know people wouldn't like, the example would be Josh Hart. I interviewed Josh Hart last year, and he said, I trained the whole summer, like working the pick and roll, reading the pick, coming off, and then the season starts, and then, Rondo came, LeBron came.
They got LeBron.
Yeah, Rondo came, LeBron came, and all these guys, and I just became a corner three-point shooter. And he says, and I didn't work on that the whole season. Everything was moving with the ball, because that's what they needed from me the year. Like, yo, you need to move more with the ball, come pick and roll and be attacked. And then it was like, all right, you're a corner guy. And he was like, I didn't really practice catch and shooting, so I feel like I just wasted my whole summer. But that ends up happening. So the fact that you're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna focus you during the season on perfecting your position and how you play in your system. And in the summer, we work on updating.
Yeah, just a little mixture. You still work on what you need to work on, but then we add some stuff to the side. Like, that's what
and because really the true lab only can exist in the off season. In season, you got to be in schedule grind mode, and you got to also, like, for this example of Josh, that team was Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Kuzma. It was that different group. Mm-hmm. What changed? So he thought things were going this direction. You throw in a LeBron, and then you get rid of those guys, except for Kuzma. Yeah, way different. Mm-hmm. Apples and oranges. Yeah. So that challenge for you is, I guess, keeping them, in their head, locked in.
Yeah, keep them, just have them locked in, like you said.
All right, so let's talk about what you put together last year in 2019 out here. So you've been in California how long?
5 years now.
That's a hell of a path, and came together quick, really, but you established this network, and really that you saw a major opportunity. So you established Southern California Academy.
Yep.
Tell us more about that, first of all.
It's a prep school out here. And my whole mission was to help these kids get better opportunities, because I know the resources that we have. We have coaches like Julius, Coach Dash, that have numerous access to college coaches and NBA guys. And I know people like Gilbert, Arenas, so that when they want to go pro, they know that they could come back to the fraternity, which is SCA. And that's why this is like my baby right now. So that's why I'm all in with these kids, and all the kids knows that. Like, if you ask anything about Travis, they will tell you, Travis is all in with us. Like, he want to see us succeed.
Back when I played, right, or probably still now, I don't know, regular school, you have to attend a certain amount of classes during the day to actually be active for your sport.
Like a full-time student.
Yeah. You can't just be like, all right, game day, I'm gonna sit at home and sleep all day. No. You have to be 4 classes to play.
Yeah.
Here,
you gotta take all your core classes.
You can just take a class online. Okay. All right, I'm understanding now. Okay, y'all try to create some super athletes.
And you in school, you had a few absences
I had this,
that were just basketball related.
No, because basketball started like back then. Was it after lunch? Was B's and C's?
After lunch.
After lunch was like the first, so you had to
Didn't
be
you
there
have to
for
go
your
to
first
school
class.
game day? You had to
4
be in
periods.
class,
Yeah,
right?
you did school all day.
Yeah, so you had to be there for the 4 classes to be active.
School at 8,
But
done
if you
at
didn't
3.
have a game,
If you didn't
I
have
lived
a
across
game,
the street, so there was really no point of ditching.
I was in school
like,
full day.
Yeah, like where am I gonna go? We're gonna go to the beach. Nobody at the beach. Us. Everyone's in school still.
Yeah.
so what's the first thing parents ask you?
The school, the academics. Hey, is it fully credited? I tell them yes. And I just direct them right to the people that runs the academic department.
And then they're looking at their schedule. Is it the typical school day and then it's basketball after, or is it kind of a blend?
So it's kind of a blend. So if this whole pandemic didn't happen, the kids would have been going to school regular, like from 8 to 11, doing all their core classes, and take the elective online. And then we would go train from 12 to 3. And sometimes
So
the kids,
you're done at lunchtime, and from lunch to.
and then some of the kids that want to be overachievers, we allow them to stay. And then that's when we break up the kids in their position, and we just give them skill work.
How about playing for a school team?
So that's when we created the prep school. So now we play on that prep school circuit. So prep school is like a higher scale version of AAU basketball. You probably know that. Well, in that era,
we didn't play-
What you know about prep school now is these kids are putting teams
Well,
together.
back then, prep school to us was
just a basketball school.
it was, no offense, it was the East Coast things for all the kids we thought wasn't good enough to make it in their first go around of high school.
It wasn't that they weren't good enough.
They had to get one more year at it.
Or they had like baggage or something they had to work out. They had to go to prep. Like you were in trouble, you got to go to prep school.
Yeah,
was
you
just
like
like
had good grades at that time.
Yeah, it was
didn't
like
have
6
good
years. Like it was
grades.
like that 6 year
Yeah.
senior, and like that's what we.
That was the gap year.
Yeah,
That's
it was
what
that
most
gap
prep
year
schools-
before we went to college. So it was like you didn't get any great high recruits. You went one more year and
Or to develop,
yeah,
basically.
That's what you got to remember. We're the West Coast, so we didn't really
You
know.
have that, right. No, the
we
real
didn't have that.
education's on the East Coast.
So we're sitting here like, he's how old? I thought he was he in high school one more year. It was one of those things like, he just was trash. But then some of them and then I guess you start building some of these kids in from. They came there at 9th grade and 10th grade and 11th, and it just wasn't like this senior, like it started like once you started understanding and realizing, wait, no, he's a freshman at this school, not a 6-year senior.
It changed a lot.
And then we started realizing, okay, that's why they're better than everyone, because it's more of a recruiting type of style. And they're picking the elite. It's just not like, all right, we're about to go to school, and then, all right, basketball tryout. No. And then you be like, yo, we gonna be trash this year, bro. Hey, Rudy ain't here today? That's how I thought Rudy was gonna try out. I was like, nah, Rudy went, he told me he was coming here. You found out
Too late.
what your team looked like when it was tryouts.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, man, this is about to be a bad year here. Right? Because you gotta remember, like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
you gotta
though,
remember, like, that's why it used to be funny, because like y'all don't have, like, you had to be part of that era where, like, all right, listen, we all gonna you and your boys go to the same school, right? You gotta remember, you start off the school year, and usually the beginning of the school year is like, we call it, it's like traffic. It's like running in traffic. All the fights is gonna happen. I mean, 10% of the school is gonna be kicked out in the first 2 weeks. And usually it was always the athletes, and it's like, so you think your boy's like there, you be like, what happened? He got kicked out. Oh man, where'd he go? He went, oh my, and you find out that your good players that you were supposed to be with got kicked out already, and they going to a whole nother school. So when basketball season started up, you was like, man,
Yeah, the era changed. Man.
bunch of nerds here, boy.
It's totally different now.
I know it's different now.
What was it that you recognized that these young kids need?
This and the knowledge of the game. They just needed mentors. A lot of these kids don't have good mentors. It shows on the court. Like some of these high school, you've been there. You watch some of these things.
Okay, so the parents is usually the problem.
Who knows? I don't know.
Not in your program. Not in you got good parents in your program.
Oh, yeah.
What you see out in the circuit, some bad.
No, I'm not saying that. Who knows?
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
sometimes also it's just
you can have
there's
a
bad
good
coaches.
foundation at home, but then in their sport or whatever field, they probably don't have the right mentor for that.
So your vision for these kids is the fact that basketball can take them anywhere they want to go. And for you, think of where it took you. So do you use that in your messaging as like, use this game as a vehicle?
That's one of the things all the coaches that's on staff, we stress that to these kids. Just to believe it or not everybody's gonna make it to the league. It's real slim. So the stuff that we do in our life skills program, you wanna take advantage of that because you get to meet guys that's like Gilbert Arenas that owns multiple businesses. We just show these kids like, hey, if things don't work out, guess what? You can invest in this. You can turn that into this type of investment, Just teaching these kids what to do after basketball if it don't work out.
Where's the vision of, SCA?
It's becoming the next IMG of the West Coast.
Okay, there we go.
That's the whole vision, man. Because a lot of top talent is leaving the West Coast, if you notice. They leave here and go to some other prep school. They go to, IMG. They go to some schools in Arizona. Or they go to prolific prep. Yeah, it's in California, but on the north side. So that's like, 5 hours from here? Mm-hmm. So we got all the
So it's basically trying to keep
keep it all here at home.
And powerhouse back the West.
Yeah.
Or, the West is powerhouse, but.
Yeah. Even though I'm from New York.
Yeah.
But.
So, you're just, being the West Coast IMG and just being this elite,
Exactly.
Okay.
Program.
And what you said for the talent that's out here too is there's options, but how do you select what players come to the academy?
Well, most of the time we have connections with a lot of AAU programs, or we train some of the kids and they have teammates, and we just look at them and we just because we have two teams. So we have one that's on the highest skill, then we have one that's in development that's going to go to that higher level later down the road, and we just develop them. We don't really turn people down because we are confident enough we know that we could develop you to get to that level. So we don't really say, hey, you can't come here because you're not good enough. We don't do that.
Okay, so you're not necessarily like an IMG where you're just only taking elite players for winning purposes. It's more of we're gonna build.
Yeah. But IMG has 4 different programs though.
Oh, okay.
So they don't.
My bad.
Yeah, they don't.
My bad on the IM.
They don't.
My bad on the IMG.
The thing with those,
I ain't mean to step on. I'm sorry. I'm trying to pump my man up.
No,
and then I'll give you this though, because that's what I think the IMGs of the world, like they don't really measure, like we've talked about this before, the intangibles, like the heart or the drive in a kid. I was like, just because you're ranked, can you get in
like
there?
what he said, it's not like you're not necessarily picking the players. Right. They're coming to you, and you're like, okay, come on. Okay. So they're coming to you, and you're giving them the tool to get a chance to go to the next level. So I get what it's like. It's like technically the Army, in a sense where I need you more than you need me style. Like exactly. you need me to help you get to this goal. Level. Come on. So bring you, and hopefully you're bringing your game and your willingness to work so you can get here.
Yeah, be all in because we go be all in.
And now we know you're a grinder first and foremost, but it's also the sacrifices you're willing to make because why? You believe in it.
Yeah.
And you recognize an opportunity that this thing really can take off because you see a lane that other guys really aren't looking at.
Sacrifice money.
Yep.
He sacrificed money for this vision.
People need to know that.
No, and that's what people don't like. This just goes for anything in business, just life. When you're trying to make that next step and you're scared. And when I say he sacrificed,
damn, you to the whole business.
Like, no, I'm just saying, because it's like people gotta understand.
Shit should me and him had.
Yeah, but I'm saying people gotta understand that, like he's training.
This is no chill. Things
No, what I'm saying,
You're right,
he's training me. He's training Karan to get back in shape. He's training, players, big three players who's and he's like, listen, I gotta put the kids first. Man, they ain't got no goddamn job. They ain't giving you no money. What are you talking about? I was like, I'm paying you for a service. What are you talking about? He's like, bro, I can't. I got to train these kids and make sure my program is running these kids. This is my school.
Before you get there, how did Gil react to that?
That damn school. Even them little sorry kids, of course how I'm trying to get ready for the big three. Them little kids.
This is my schedule, man.
Yeah.
You
so
changed up on me, so hey, I gotta keep them.
So he tell me the schedule. I'm like, all right, so what do you mean 6 p.m.? What you talking about 6 p.m.? I'm not coming at 6 p.m. It's like, that's when school is over with. And then Karan's son, then Karan, and then this person. And I'm like,
Hey, but Gilbert switched up the time.
Yeah. I had to switch,
Because
because I'm not used to it. Because it was like you gotta remember the time is 6 a.m. And then I'm battling between the overseas guys who's coming in at 5, 6. So that's where I had to sit back and say, man, I'm selfish. I remember I was straight complaining. Like, man, Travis don't even want to train me no more. That's why my shot's off. Yo, you remember that?
It's your fault.
Yeah, oh no.
Don't blame me.
We went through 2 weeks of that. And like, be like, yo, I'm missing. Like, yeah, it's your fault. You don't want to train me. I probably only got like I only probably got like 1,000 shots in the last 2 weeks because of you. Because when I'm training, like, I remember I'm on a schedule, I'm not missing. So when I start missing like 3, 4.
Oh, he's mad. He bring up everything.
I bring up everything. My shoot, man. See, it's your fault. There's the ball. You bring the wrong ball. Who's been bouncing this ball? Like, I'm trying to make any excuse. But I remember I was like, man, I ain't even messing with Travis today, man. You know what? I'm done. I'm not messing with Travis. I'm gonna go to my own gym. Get to the gym, realize I ain't got nobody work me out, and just be sitting there and let me just go and tell Travis, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
I understand.
Just keep us on the straight schedule. We on the schedule, that's it. We won't change it ever.
Trav, what we know though is you're a patient guy, and then you adapt. You're adaptable to the different players that you have come through and their different personalities.
A lot of different personalities, yeah.
But that's what's good, and that's why this is my guy. You know what I mean? It's he's dealt with the prima donnas of us NBA players.
Sure did.
Thinking you got to remember when it came to time.
They don't have no time.
Is when I want to work out. Like I can tell him 6 a.m. be there, and I show up at 9 or 10, and I'm expecting him to be ready.
I'll be so mad. He did that to me twice, and I was pissed.
So for him to understand that and not take it personal, and then put his foot down and say, listen, I got these kids. Either you come before them or you come after. You know what I mean? This time, from here to here is blocked off. There's no exception. And I'm just pouting, just.
Like, who
tell me no. You know what I mean? Tell me no. But that's what I'm saying. He turned down, all us NBA players training for his school. You're talking about money, got to pay bills, and like, no, man, I don't have time. I would love it, but I don't have time. I got to get this program because my vision. I don't see money right now. I see my vision, these kids, this development, this school, and I got to put that first. Whatever comes after, comes after. If I can see you guys in the summer or in the season when school is over, I'll see you then. But this is number one, and that's what really, that's why it's here.
What did our guy Zebo say? You bullied the bully. So, but really, because it's a passion. It's from the heart.
It hurt, but I was like, man, it is what it is. I had to do it.
You had purpose.
Yep. So.
But also that also speaks to the relationship that you developed, especially like the relationship you guys had. Well, usually you're on the receiving end of things from Gil in a lot of ways. Your turn to give it out to him. Ask Agent Zero.
Any question?
Yeah, what do you got?
Who do you think will win this year?
Treasure?
Yep.
The Lakers, baby.
Why? So you don't like the Clippers?
To be honest, as a basketball player who watches and looks at, I haven't seen any dominance from the Clippers throughout the season. I mean, I've seen them go on a 7-game winning streak, but that's about it. Never really seen them actually dominate. They've lost to the bottom of the field, out of all their losses. It mostly came from the bottom, and they got handed to them by most of the West Coast teams. But I just never seen dominance. Like, they just dominated a month, 2 months, just, 7-game winning streak. But I know Paul George and Kawhi was battling their injuries, so it's really hard to judge their dominance. I know everyone's looking at LeBron and them, but I know LeBron. I've seen him. I've watched him. He cruises through
So
the regular
what
season.
team is a good matchup for them right now? Then?
The good matchup. I mean, Clippers is their matchup because they have stars in the same position. So it's a star-to-star position game. So, so for any one of those to win, they have to stop each other. It's not like, you're going to Dame and, it's Dame and CJ, and then LeBron and AD. Now they got to hope the position of those players,
right,
do their job. So, watching the Lakers now in the bubble, I was never concerned about them winning or losing. Yeah, so with the Lakers in the bubble, I didn't put any weight on none of this because it's foreign, it's new, it's basically more of getting in shape. So I didn't put no, Clippers, Milwaukee, Lakers. I wasn't really putting any emphasis on, I wasn't gonna judge those because they are the top tier. Mm-hmm. So from there, it's just getting in shape, make sure none of us really get hurt.
So who do you think is the next star player?
The next star?
Besides LeBron?
Of this young group, the next group.
The next, GOAT.
Basically.
I mean, so KD and them are out.
The younger
that group.
Yeah.
So younger than that.
They're the
So
vet
that means
group.
you're talking about Ja, Zion, Luka, Trae Young, Tatum. When you're talking about GOAT, you have to stand out in your position. So the person who's gonna stand out, you're talking about, who has the advantage over everyone in his position would be Luka. As a point guard sitting at 6'9", you're gonna offset it, so your longevity takes you to 18, 20 years because you're slow now. No matter when you slow up, you still got the height advantage over all your point guards. You have the freakish nature of someone like Ja at the point guard. You're putting him in the Westbrook type of, vision of what he can do dominating wise offensively as a guard. Trae Young is following in that Steph Curry, mode. So his success is going to be built on scoring. Built on winning. So, is going to have to build a team, or he's just going to be a guy who put up numbers. Zion is the ideal person that, that has the most hype. The only thing that's going to be his downfall is just his weight. And it's not even fat weight. It's just body muscle. Yeah. And I think that's going to be his biggest struggle every summer, just learning how not to pick up 10, 15 pounds in a week. Yeah. And it's sad to say that's going to be his biggest struggle, because that's going to be a really big struggle for him. You're trying to tell a 19, 20-year-old, don't lift weights, because you got to remember, you get bigger as you get older. So, if you're sitting at 290, 310, let's just be honest, he's sitting somewhere around 290 to 310 at 20 years old. Evolution says you're gonna get worse. So it's like taking in, understanding, mentally saying, you know what, I need to take the challenge of being 265, coming in at 260. Like, reality, if I'm the coach, if I'm his staff, if parents or whatever, I'm in his ear, our goal every summer is to be around 255 to 265, knowing that you're gonna pick up 10 to 15 pounds during the season, you know, from eating and playing and, you know, not being able to, you know, what's the name? So, you know, you have your money on those guys as, you know, the future, you know, same thing with, you know, someone like Ben Simmons. Also, he's part of that group. Yeah, I mean, you gotta look at players that have, it's also body size that can take the pounding of each year. You're talking about kids like Fox, but you know, us guards, us fast guards, we have, depending on, you know, our shelf life of, you know, how long we can sustain it.
I'm gonna throw one out there, Devin Booker, just because I like his game so much.
Oh,
It's easy to forget how
I forgot he's young.
he's
I
that
forgot he's
young.
young.
I forget he's so
you know,
young.
you sitting a guy with 4 years in the NBA, you be
Yeah.
like, that man, goddamn it, is only 20-something.
Yeah, 23.
Yeah.
Throwing out there one for the road as we go, but kid from Brooklyn discovered the game, brought him out here to LA. So you're both coast now. We can give you East Coast, West Coast. How's that?
You know what? We're gonna say you're an East Coast guy teaching the West Coast to grind. Cause you know we're
Take that one.
Yeah, we're so laid back.
Don't lose the East
super
Coast.
laid
Don't
back,
let,
bro.
don't let him
You know, and
pull you.
it's that grit and grind and that fight that he's bringing the East Coast mentality to us West Coast kids.
Hard-nosed players, right? With
There
some
you go. I
style.
like that one. There you go.
And then, you know, everything that you've done as TNT, and then where you're at now with Southern California Academy. For people that need to know, where can they find out more information?
You could go to our website, southerncaliforniaacademy.com, or go to our Facebook or Instagram at sca.southern.california.
There it is right there.
Yep.
Educational, overdue episode of No Chill.
Sir.
Fam with our guy
Congratulations, man, on the
Trav.
success. You know me,
It's a beautiful thing to watch.
because I mean, I've seen it from the beginning, you know what I mean?
You was there because
I
I
was
was giving
there.
you help.
You know, in the closet with the guy, like, yo, man, I thought you was gonna come through. Okay, I'm gonna still be here. Check back with you next week. You know, the pursuit of happiness. That's what it kind of, you know, not living on the streets, but that fight, and that's what's beautiful about, you know, seeing you smile now, because, you know, I know where the stress was kicking in, and you still like, let me just wake up and just keep focused, and you know.
And the reward is not just a one-day payoff, it's every day.
Yeah, the reward is the kids. You know, the reward is watching these kids develop, watching these kids grow, watching these kids succeed, you know, and that, I understood it now.
What was a small little tree, it's growing up, and then the
Yeah,
branches are gonna be all
Yeah.
these kids and everywhere that basketball takes them. So we're watching, man.
Thank you, man.
Love it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. For Gilbert Arenas, for Travis Nichols, I'm Mike Botticello. This has been No Chill with Gilbert Arenas. Remember, you can catch us every Monday at 8 p.m. on Fubo. We'll catch you next time.